Thank you, Geeta, for that introduction. Haley and I are excited to be sharing more about HerVenture as part of our summit. HerVenture is our award-winning business skills app, and during this session, Haley will be introducing the app as well as giving you more insights that the app has on their lives. Following Haley's presentation, we'll then be sharing a short video featuring some of our HerVenture participants, and then we'll be leaving some time at the end of the session for Q&A. So please do pop your questions into the chat box, and our team is on hand to respond to them.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth. So the theme of the summit today is all about the role that technology can play in empowering women entrepreneurs. And that's a theme that's close to the Foundation's heart, because since we were founded in 2008, Cherie Blair Foundation for Women has been using technology to provide business skills training to women across the globe. Why have we taken this approach? Well, one of the key things that technology offers women is flexibility, because we know it's so well evidenced, we've shown it in our gender stereotypes research again, that women are often juggling unpaid care responsibilities with the demands of their business. Perhaps they have a side job as well. And this means that they have less time to invest in their business than they might otherwise want to. They often have less time to develop, invest in their personal development and their skills. And this in turn can limit their business success. So we wanted to do something to help change this. We wanted to find a way to provide broad access to business skills training to women. And we saw that if we did that on mobile, that we could do it at scale. So in 2018, we developed and piloted HerVenture in Indonesia and Vietnam. We then launched in Nigeria in 2019. And in 2020, we took the app to Kenya and South Africa. And now I'm really pleased to say that we just launched in Guyana as well. So we're now in 6 countries and have so far reached around 47,000 women through the app. And we're really proud that HerVenture has also just won the Third Sector Digital Innovation of the Year award for the support that it's been offering women during the pandemic. But we think that all of this is just the start of what's possible. Next year, we'd like to double that total reach and reach 100,000 women by the end of 2022. So that's another 50,000 women that we want to reach next year. But let me tell you a little bit more about the app itself. So as we said, HerVenture is a business skills learning app for women-led MSMEs at the startup and early growth stages of business development. It's free to download on Android and iOS, and you just need a basic smartphone to access it. So if you're joining us from any of those countries that I just listed, then you can pop along to your app stores and download it now and check it out for yourselves. HerVenture users are typically between about 18 and 35 years old. And they're mostly first-time business owners, or they're aspiring business owners. So they might have a great idea for a business, but they're not yet sure how to put what the next steps are and how to make that vision into reality. So HerVenture is going to provide those kinds of women with foundational business skills they need to achieve business success. The app has 9 learning tracks covering essential business skills training, such as launching a business, managing business records, or accessing new markets. We also recently added training on e-commerce, digital marketing, business resilience to support women to move online during COVID. So when a woman first downloads an app, she's asked a series of questions about her business and her learning needs. The app then uses these responses to generate a personalized learning pathway for that woman. So, for example, if you're a first-time woman entrepreneur, you might want to know, is there a market for my business? You might want some support developing basic accountancy skills. So the app might help you to learn how to separate your household income from your business income. You might be interested in what kind of startup capital is available to you. So HerVenture is going to recommend the appropriate content for you to help answer the questions that you have. The training is fun and it's easily digestible in little bite-sized chunks. It takes just 5 minutes to complete a lesson. So it's offering that flexibility that we were talking about. You can pick it up, put it down when you have a moment. You can come back and test your knowledge with quizzes and case studies. You can also find out about local networking events. So our local partners are sending push notifications to tell women about relevant training and activities they can get involved with in their local area. You can also connect with other women entrepreneurs through the app. The app's promoted through a whole range of methods. Our local partners are really pivotal in helping us to promote the app. Through their networks, they also host special networking events. They do a lot of work on social media and social media influencers. We're also hearing increasingly that happy HerVenture users are recommending it to family and friends. So word of mouth is increasingly also playing a role in app dissemination. We've also been trialling a range of new ways to work with our corporate partners to promote the app to their customer bases. So, for example, DHL in South Africa and in Kenya are advertising the app at their service points. So if you're a woman entrepreneur going along to a service point and DHL to, for example, post your product to a new customer, you will also be able to learn about the HerVenture app there, scan the QR code and access the app that way. So through these different kinds of methods, as I said, we've reached around 47,000 women in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Vietnam, Indonesia, South Africa, and Guyana. And that's all great. But the real question is what impact it's achieving. What difference is it making to women's lives? Well, of course, we're really pleased and proud that HerVenture is having a really positive impact on women's confidence, on their business skills. It's helping them to increase their profits and the number of clients that they have. And we see that this impact, this pattern of impact across these kinds of indicators is repeated in all the geographies. So, for example, to give you a sense of the data, 81% of women in Kenya in the pilot said that they had increased their confidence in accessing finance and in accessing business services. 75% of HerVenture users in Nigeria said that they increased their total business income. And 76% of women in Indonesia reported that their client numbers had also increased. So we use this feedback and their data and the experiences of women to capture the emerging needs, and we use that to continually improve the app. So, for example, when COVID hit, we went out to our network and we asked women, what's going on with your business? What support do you need from us? And they said very clearly that COVID was having a negative impact on their business. Many of the women that we surveyed were worried about potential closure, and they very clearly asked us for support to help them to move online. In response to this, I should mention these needs were also picked up in our market assessments that we carry out whenever we enter new countries. So in response to these needs, we worked with our partners DHL to develop new training on e-commerce and digital marketing. And we've also developed business resilience training as well. And all of this has been really well received by the women. So we're really proud of what we're achieving, but we're not doing this alone. The continual innovation and rollout of HerVenture is very much a collaboration between Cherie Blair Foundation for Women, our donors, and the local organisations that we work with. We leverage each other's mutual expertise, insights, and support and networks to work together to create and provide the support that women are telling us that they need. So our local partners, I said, help contextualize the app's content and training modules so that we can be sure that it's meeting the local needs of the women we're supporting in a particular country. They're also helping us to promote the app and advise about how best to do that in that locality. They're also kind of providing continual feedback from the women to help inform our ongoing innovations. Partners also play an absolutely critical role, not just in funding the app and taking it to new geographies to scale, but they're also helping us develop content and, as we're talking about, to find new ways to disseminate and innovate the support that we're providing. It's also important to note that if a partner, for example, it supports or helps us develop training in one country, we will disseminate it in all of the geographies. So, for example, I gave the example earlier of DHL helping us develop the e-commerce training in Kenya and South Africa, but actually we've since been able to roll that out in Indonesia, in Vietnam, in Nigeria, and Guyana as well. So we're able to provide for greater impact, for the partnership and for women, and sort of maximise the value of the money of the investment that we've received from our partners. So I've given a lot of information in a short time, and I want to allow a lot of time for Q&A. So I'm just going to pause here and encourage you to ask any questions that you have in the chat box. Before we take a little break, we want to show you a video of the HerVenture impact in Kenya. We did a 3-month pilot there last year, and I think this video really encapsulates the women's stories and will give you a good sense of what it's all about.
When a woman is empowered, then the family is empowered, economies are also empowered. It's a very powerful combination.
My name is Juliet. I do this business. I sell vegetables. What motivated me is that I like to be self-independent without anybody supervising me. I am the boss. Before I used the app, I was not understanding business more than the way I am understanding it now.
To be honest, before we were kind of running blind, so the app is like a light in the dark.
Where women are engaged, they are participating, communities prosper. But where women are also not participating, you can see also communities suffer.
Women go through tremendous challenges: financial inclusion, access to financial investment, access to financial tools to start and run and maintain the business.
I'm dealing with online business and I learned it through the HerVenture apps. After posting it, I see some people liking it and asking some questions. Now, I have now developed this many customers online.
Our business was able to grow even though there was a pandemic, purely because of being online.
An application that is able to address issues that women face: how to start a business, how to grow your business, how to access loans, how to network, where can I find market. It's very important that we have these learning programs that encourage women to take leadership roles. The status of women entrepreneurs in Kenya is a bright star rising. Whenever there's an opportunity for them to learn better skills, especially through HerVenture, is something that we welcome wholeheartedly as a government.
My future. When you come again, you will not meet me here. I will be an international business ready because I have that big vision in me.
What a great video. I hope you all enjoyed that. So welcome back, and thanks again to Haley for the overview of HerVenture. So we're now going to be moving into the Q&A part of our session, and we have about 10 to 15 minutes. So I know there are some questions already coming in, but please do continue to pop them into the chat, and the team will share them with us. So I can actually already see that we have our first question. So, and Haley, actually, this one looks like it's for me. So the question is, how do you gather data and measure impact on an app like HerVenture? So on HerVenture, we actually have a few ways that we are able to gather data and measure participant engagement on the app. So firstly, in terms of our data collection, so we have a baseline survey that's embedded within the app. And we collect information from participants on things like their size of their business, how many employees they have, what their profit is, what their revenue has been over the past 3 months, business sector. But then we also look at things like what is their business knowledge, what is their business confidence before they start using the app. And so at the end of the period that we're promoting HerVenture to women entrepreneurs, we'll also send out an endline survey, and we'll ask the same questions that we asked at the baseline stage to really try to measure that change in business confidence and change in business knowledge. But we have also something that enables us to look at participant engagement live, and that's through a dashboard that we have that enables us to see app registrations live, and we're able to also see 2 other pieces of sort of immediate feedback from women entrepreneurs using the app. So one is how well they're understanding the content, and the other one is whether they are planning to apply what they've learned to their business. So it's been really fantastic and makes a really a big difference to us being able to see that data in real time.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to build on that slightly, we also gather a lot of qualitative data as well, which gives some more colour to that data and those impact stats, and helps us sort of develop a sort of deeper understanding of what's going on with the women and their personal experience. I talked a bit, just to sort of build this out a little bit and give some examples. I talked a bit in the presentation about how HerVenture's been helping women to pivot their businesses online during COVID, and we've seen that those that content and training has been popular with women downloading the app. But one of my favourite sort of qualitative case studies is of a woman, How Mai, in Vietnam. She was a successful hotel owner in Vietnam, and her business was mainly selling rooms to foreign tourists, and she had always sort of occupied the rooms at around 90%. And then when COVID happened and the borders closed, almost overnight, her entire customer base dried up, and she had to think about how she was going to pivot and change, because suddenly she was facing bankruptcy and didn't know what to do. And she was telling us, that HerVenture had helped her to think about her market and reconceptualize that and consider what her options were. And so she actually identified that actually selling to domestic tourists, of young sort of middle income individuals or retired domestic tourists could open up new opportunities for her business. And she's actually been able to sort of maintain around 70% occupancy in her hotel since then. And I really love that story, because it's just a sort of tangible example of how there was how that sort of crisis intervention support that we introduced has just had a direct, tangible impact, and as a result she's been able to keep everyone employed, and she's managed to keep her business going. And for me, that's really what all of this data and impact and content creation is all about. Anyway, so it's a slight aside, but I just wanted to share that quick story. But I can see more questions coming through, and I think the next one might actually also be for you, Elizabeth, and that is, where do you want to take HerVenture next?
To many more countries, I think is the answer in short. But no, I think we at the foundation, we have priority countries that we have identified based on their women's entrepreneurship landscape, mobile penetration, which is very important for the feasibility of bringing HerVenture to a new country, and really the demand, the appetite, and digital, appetite also for digital training like HerVenture. But I think also we need to have, as the panel just spoke to, digital literacy is also equally as important. But I think, in order to do this, we need to collaborate with partners. And so we are always looking for new partnerships to help us achieve this and expand HerVenture. And as Haley mentioned in her presentation, help us reach our target of reaching 100,000 women.
Yeah, absolutely. So partners to help us expand geographically, but also kind of to help us adapt the HerVenture, and sort of partners and other stakeholders, in fact, to help us to kind of continue to innovate the support that we provide. In addition to kind of like seeking out new geographies, we're thinking of experimenting also with other ways of applying HerVenture. So, for example, could HerVenture support women in a particular supply chain, or be a tool to sort of supplement classroom learning and things? So it's not just, we're not interested in just replicating what we've done today, although we're very, very keen to do that, and that's very much part of our plan, but also looking at new ways that we can do more for women by working with our different partners and stakeholders. So I'll show you the next question. So the next one I can see coming up is around digital literacy. This is a really good question, actually, and an important one, and I think also kind of speaks to the theme of today. The question is digital literacy a challenge for some of the women entrepreneurs using HerVenture?
Yes, it absolutely can be, I think, but what is important is that we are working with our partners to identify a target audience for HerVenture users within the countries where we work. And that's particularly important for us when we are going into a new country, because we'll have had less experience piloting and really testing what is the right target audience for HerVenture in that new country. We actually have had some experience working with women entrepreneurs who are less comfortable with app-based learning. So it takes some support working with them upfront to sort of build their capacity and their confidence, but it can be really valuable for them once they actually get used to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that, Elizabeth. And so the next question is also about how we work with local partner organisations. I touched a bit on this in the presentation, but I think that perhaps some elements that you could draw out a bit further for us.
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, in terms of the way that we would work with them, I think it's firstly, we'd work by sort of selecting them through a kind of competitive recruitment process. And for anyone out there who's interested in potentially partnering with us, do keep an eye on our website, because we're always looking to expand to new countries. But I think what's important is, once we select our partners, we will then always work with them in a very sort of collaborative way, from whether it's looking at how we can actually, deliver HerVenture in a different way, or whether it's about adapting the content, for example. So as Haley mentioned, when we were designing our digital marketing and e-commerce content, our partners were involved in reviewing the content and making sure that it seemed sort of appropriate to the needs of the women entrepreneurs. And in beyond just the design phase, we also work very closely with them in the rollout as well. So looking at together, what is the best way that we can market the app? And I think in particular, our partners are always really keen to hear about what have we learned from other contexts? What have we learned from other partners? So sometimes we also try to pair up our partners where we think that their experiences will be or have been quite similar. So for example, pairing up partners in Kenya and Nigeria to learn from each other. We've done the same for partners in Indonesia and in Vietnam as well. So I think that's also very important in terms of working in a collaborative way. But I think also our partners' networks are really, really essential to us, not only being able to reach women entrepreneurs, but also to reach women entrepreneurs in a wide geographic area. And we leverage our partners' networks to enable us to really get this wide reach and potentially, offer HerVenture to an audience that may not have previously had any type of introduction to or even access to app-based business skills training previously.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Collaboration is key. We've had a question in from a woman entrepreneur in South Africa, and she's asked if HerVenture is only accessible to the 18 to 35 age groups. And I know I mentioned that in the presentation. I said that's a typical profile, so giving you a broad range, but HerVenture is absolutely open to anyone who wants to access it. And if you have a basic iPhone or Android phone and you're in a country where HerVenture is currently live, please do download it. It's absolutely there as a tool to be accessed by anyone who likes it. So yeah, absolutely go ahead. Yeah. So the next question I can see is, how do you decide what content you're going to provide? That's a really interesting question, actually. And again, bits of it we've touched on, but I think there's some more you could probably build out for us there, Elizabeth.
Yeah, definitely. It is a really interesting question, because I think it's actually informed by lots of different sort of strands of work. So I think when we go into a new country, we'll typically conduct a market assessment, and that market assessment will help us understand what other training providers are out there, what other type of training content exists, and sort of what format is it delivered in, what format do the women entrepreneurs who are our target audience want to receive their training in? And importantly, also what topics, what themes do they really feel that they would like to learn more about, but haven't had access to? And I think that's, that piece is really important for us in terms of shaping our understanding of where those knowledge gaps are. So we have those market assessments. We also have more broadly our annual audit, and our annual audit can help us to identify these types of themes as well. And particularly the annual audit this year combined actually with our COVID survey response, which the COVID survey actually just went out a few months into the pandemic last year, but we actually saw similar themes across our annual audit this year in terms of understanding how women entrepreneurs had been impacted by COVID and what type of business skills they felt they needed in order to be able to really sort of support their business's resilience against the impact. And so the key training needs, really interestingly, actually, that we saw across the market assessments, the annual audit, and the COVID survey that we conducted, I'd say, it's from 2020. The key learning needs have been around e-commerce, digital marketing, and business resilience. So actually, those 3 learning tracks are all learning tracks that we have created since the start of COVID and have launched on HerVenture as well. So that has been really key. But I think also we are regularly getting feedback from women entrepreneurs who are actually able to put their feedback into the app as they are going through. And through the dashboard, I can also, anyone, of our team, we can all see, and our partners, we have access to this dashboard, and we're really able to see the feedback that's coming in live. So it might be, I really like this training, but I need more on something more specifically on how I advertise on social media, for example. So that decision making really comes from a variety of methods, but I think it's really great because it really makes sure that it's informed by a robust process.
Yeah, absolutely. Putting women's feedback at the heart of that service development is absolutely critical. And I think those, we sort of both mentioned it in our sort of answers and presentations that coming through really, really strongly is the need for support to digitize, to move online in different ways. And that's something that we've been really seeking to respond to. And I think probably something that we're only going to kind of increase it. I sort of mentioned at the top that Cherie Blair Foundation has always used digital technology to deliver business skills training. But now I think sort of access to or understanding of how to use digital to support your business is going to be just absolutely essential kind of going forward. And I think we'll probably be continuing to develop our content in response to those needs over the coming years. I'm seeing that we are very fast coming up to time, and time absolutely flies when you're having fun. But unfortunately, we do have to stop here. We hope you enjoyed the session. If you had the questions that you wanted to ask, you can reach out on the platform. If you want to talk about partnerships or sort of learn more about the HerVenture or other programs, please do feel free to connect with Elizabeth or myself on LinkedIn or the platform. Coming up next is going to be an amazing masterclass led by our wonderful friends and partners DHL Express, and they're going to be giving some of those top tips for women looking to get started in e-commerce. So I mentioned before, they are obviously absolute experts in this area. So if you're a small business owner and you're looking to develop your skills in e-commerce, or perhaps you're a business service provider looking to sort of pick up some broader tips, then this is definitely a session not to be missed. But from me and Elizabeth, that is all we've got time for today. So handing back to you. Have a great rest of Summit.